Is there a mid and end credit sequence in the new Superman movie? Yes and yes. And if you want to know what I think about those mid and end credit sequences and whether or not they're worth your time staying for, stay tuned for this mostly spoiler free review of the new Superman flick. I will do my best to keep it spoiler free, but I highly encourage you to go watch it for yourself. It is good. I would say not great. Let's get into it. Now, I have given you a warning that I will do my best to keep it spoiler free, but it's on you from this point forward if you continue watching. So, is there a mid and end credit scene? Yes and yes. The mid credit scene is not great. It is just a very quick shot of Superman doing something. And the end credit scene is a joke that doesn't particularly land well. So is it worth staying for? Not so much, but they are there. Now, to get into my thoughts on the overall movie really quick. First of all, I think it is a good movie. I don't think it's an amazing movie. Definitely worth going to the theater and checking out if you're into superheroes like I am. But let's get into a few of the story elements here. And this is where we're really going to potentially touch on some things that you might find spoilery. Again, I'm warning you, last warning, it's on you from this point forward. I don't want to see it in the comments. Okay? I'm going to do my best here. So, when the movie starts out, we're introduced to a very different Superman than we're used to. This Superman, to me, comes off kind of like a spoiled brat who thinks he can do whatever he wants. Now, I believe they outlined that he's like 33 or 34 years old in this movie, so he should really know better. And we're introduced to Superman and Lois Lane, who have just begun dating. They're not married or anything at this point. And Lois Lane is equally kind of not nice to Superman because he's a big idiot. And I don't know. She's just she's kind of hard on him about everything. She's like, oh, you can just interview yourself. And talking about like how he makes breakfast for their dinner, and that's something that she likes. She's like, no, that's something you like. It's like, well, he didn't make you breakfast. Like, he doesn't get any sort of break. So she's really hard on him at the front of the movie, and I'm kind of like, wow, so Superman's kind of dumb in this movie, at least to start, and Lois Lane isn't particularly nice. I don't really like that, but I will say I do come around on the characters. But at the beginning, Lex Luthor makes some interesting points about Superman and why he's kind of nervous about Superman flying around causing all of this damage and destruction. Of course, Lex Luthor is evil. We all know that from the get-go. I mean, we've read comics before. We know he's up to something. And it is proven by the end of the flick that, oh yeah, he's a bad guy, all right. But that doesn't mean what Superman does to solve the situation is a particularly smart move. He gets involved in a conflict that he probably shouldn't be involved with in that way. And it really reminds me of the comic books where Batman basically tells Superman, you are an idiot. You have all the strength in the world and you have no idea how to use it. Like, he doesn't think. He's a big spoiled brat who can do whatever he wants. And this is the first time he gets his butt kicked. And it's kind of refreshing to see that, like, okay, well, like, this character actually needs to learn something and grow. And he does grow a little bit by the end of the film. So to talk about some of the other elements that we see here, Lex's motivation, it kind of makes sense at the beginning before we find out, oh, okay, you were kidnapping people and locking them in a cell, basically, right? Minor spoiler there. You see Superman locked in a cell, so that's all I'll say about that situation. There are moments with Superman's dad that really give the movie heart and really ground the movie. And I will say this, to be positive, the action sequences are great. There's actually two sequences I really liked, not involving Superman. One is with Mr. Fantastic, where he kind of pops off for the first time and we get to see how strong his character really is. And there's a scene with Hawk Girl and Guy Gardner where they're kind of wrecking shop with some friends. And that scene is also a really feel good moments. Now, I don't know what this movie is rated, but there are a few scenes in the movie where I'm kind of surprised they went that dark. There's two murders in the film, and I'm kind of like, oh, all right, well, I can't bring my kids to this Superman movie because my kids are very, very young. Like maybe a teenager, it would be okay. But I was kind of shocked because I didn't feel it was necessary to go that hard in this flick, but they do in two different points, and I was a little bit caught off guard by it because it didn't really feel necessary. But I think they're targeting like it's probably PG-13 if I had to guess off the top of my head. Who else do we got here? Oh yeah, so there's this key story moment where everybody instantaneously turns on Superman. Something happens on a news report, and we watch in real time as Superman goes from the savior of planet Earth to the most hated person ever on planet Earth. And it just feels like you get a bit of whiplash in terms of what is happening in the story that is told because it all happens so quick. Superman starts out, you don't really like him very much. You kind of understand why everybody hates him, but they hate him instantaneously. Like everybody turns on him. People who've been fighting at his side for years, all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we don't like you anymore. Oh, you're bad now. It's just like there's no thought, there's no investigation. They just decide instantaneously he's bad. Yeah, this is the right thing to do. He's a bad guy. Nobody likes you now. And I'm just kind of like, okay, like the news report's still happening in the story. And so like it just instantaneously this happens, but it is what it is. And I think the biggest strength of the movie are the action sequences. Superman mostly is getting his butt kicked in the movie. Honestly, there is a scene where he's trying to approach a situation and actually think about how he approaches it to limit casualties and such. And they make it a point to call out no casualties. Oh, nobody was harmed or seriously injured during this battle sequence. So then when the two murders happen, you're kind of really caught off. You're just like, all right, like is that necessary to move the plot forward? I guess so. And then in terms of like jokes, none of the jokes were particularly funny to me. It really seems like they're targeting like a teenage audience. So if you're just like into comic books and you like a comic book flick, I think the Superman movie is going to be totally fine for you, but it's not Batman Begins level. Batman Begins for me is like the pinnacle of a superhero flick. I went back to the theater to see Batman Begins like 30 times. I'm not even exaggerating. I went so many times to go see that movie in the theater, I lost count. And then I think the original X-Men movie, I also went a lot, but that was really interesting because we hadn't really seen a well done superhero movie in so long. So that was really refreshing. So when those are my barometer for like a great flick, I think Superman is definitely below the Batman Begins movie, but maybe it's sort of in the same vein as the first X-Men movie, where it's good. It's not perfect, but I think Superman fans are really going to like it. And I do think it is worth going to see, maybe not with younger kids, but if you have some older kids like 13-year-olds or whatever, you're going to have a good time. Oh yeah. The Justice Gang, like they keep going back to that joke. I think they kind of look silly. I think their costumes, like they don't really seem to fit really well. And it's sort of like a weird thing, and like their jokes aren't particularly funny. So there's a lot of humor that they tried to do, and I just don't think the jokes land. I didn't hear anybody laughing in the theater. They actually do the Hulk joke where a villain is doing a monologue and then somebody smashes. I'm like, you just did the Hulk joke. Like that was from the Avengers movie, and you just did it again. So there's moments like that, but overall, we're seeing, I do think that the overall plot paints a picture that sort of makes sense as to why these characters are at odds with each other and why Superman kind of has to put on his big boy pants and stop being such a dum-dum. And he does grow as a character by the end of the flick. And I do think that the story is one of the better Superman films that you will probably see. So it's worth checking out. I don't know. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. So I'm definitely middle ground on this one, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell to know when my content goes live. I don't usually do movie reviews, and it's hard when you don't want to go into spoilers, but I hope I did okay with this one. Thank you so much to the members, Chris Ferretti, Phil Aroni, Spingeter, and Aries EMS. I do greatly appreciate you. I'm going to get out of here. We have Fantastic Four later this month. Maybe that one will be my big hit. Galactus looks cool. I'll see you for that one and other videos on this channel. Bye for now.